A drum circle is a setting where you have a group of people sitting in a circle playing drums and percussion instruments. On a very simple, superficial level, it's as simple as that, but it tends to go a lot deeper once you actually start experiencing this entire process. The incredible thing is you don't have to be a musician or you don't have to know how to play in order to participate. So that's why it's been a highly effective tool as a metaphor for a lot of the connects, because everyone is connected to music, either religiously, socially, culturally, wherever they're from. So that's the common uniting factor for humanity. It's always been music. It's universal. So we use the power of music to actually get into people thinking about who they are. And the interesting thing is that playing the drums just brings out a very deep part of many, many people. It discovers the inner child. It allows people to just be free and relaxed without all the rules and obligations that, the traditional music forms also demand and expect. Over here, we open it out, and it's basically, on one level, it actually goes beyond just the concept of just playing music, because we're talking about the spirit, the human spirit. And that's what we're playing with. Started about 9 years ago. Actually, yeah, more than that. When I was asked by a training company to conduct a drum circle. So they asked me if I knew what the concept was. And I had read a little bit about it, but I'd never done it before. But I was interested and curious. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. Then I started figuring out how to do it. And that's how I started. There is nothing known as a average corporate drum jam. Every single one is very unique. You never know what you're walking into. The organization, the setting, the mood, the ambience, the tension or the lack of tension. So it's really it keeps you on edge, because you can never just sit back and say, yeah, I figured it all out. You walk in and something will be there to trip you and make you rework something to make it an effective session. It really depends on the objectives of the corporate. Some are just looking for fun. Some just consider it entertainment. Some see the value in it and actually use it for HR purposes and for just a general well-being of the employees and creating a sense of community within that organization. It depends on their outlook again. We're always open with options. We can conduct a series of programs. We can do a one-off. We can look at, spacing it out as a certain program, whatever the requirements might be. We can work around that. Honestly, when I'm doing the drum jam, I don't see it just as a corporate thing, unless I'm really in that headspace. For me, they're just people that in many ways I can relate to, because I've gone through maybe what they're going through now. So I have a certain sense of empathy on that scale. And at the end of the day, they're not just an employee of some corporation. They're also a brother, a father, a sister. They're a human being. And that's the part I connect with. It's not necessarily just the corporate entity. But if the requirement of the company is that, we go through a particular training module, I can handle that as well, because I've been there. It's very important to create the right atmosphere and the setting for it to actually have an impact that's going to be effective for everybody. A lot of times in the corporate world, people considering it just as entertainment would like it to be performed as an event, as a show from the stage. There are two words in drum circle. It's very simple. Drum, circle. So it's been an incredible journey over the past 8-9 years. We're in our 9th year now as an organization. But it started off in Bangalore, and it's taken me to some very interesting parts of this country, as well as internationally. So yeah, I've been racking up the frequent flyers. There's been Nepal, there's been Dubai, there's been Thailand, there's been Hong Kong, there's been Sri Lanka. So I mainly work around the South Asia region, but I've had inquiries from all over the place. It's just that sometimes the logistics don't allow it to happen right now, but we're making plans. I can only speak on a personal level here because it's always, I don't look at it as just one aspect or one part of my life. It's always been a coherent, whole. Whether my life as a musician, or the entity of me as a musician or as an artist, which is sometimes a big difference because the way you approach life can determine how you approach your music as well. So a lot of the choices I've made have not necessarily been the typical normal things, but then I haven't gone through that route at all. I've always been put in very, very interesting situations, or I put myself into those situations. And all of those experiences to me manifest itself through whatever I'm doing, whether it being running a business. There's a lot of creativity involved in that. It's just as valid as sitting down and playing the drums, if you do it honestly. A musician is somebody who plays an instrument. The journey is very much directed inward. It's towards the self. I have to practice. I need to be better than this guy. I need to do this. It's all about I, me, the ego, da 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 da. And it's sometimes required to push yourself as a human being to achieve things that the normal or the average person wouldn't do. So there's nothing wrong with that. But when it just continues only down that path, you reach a plateau at some level in your life, in your career. Be it on a musical level, be it on a personal level with family, whatever's going on around you, and you plateau and you just stay to some level. I think everyone goes through those phases. You intense practice, intense creativity, intense growth as a musician, and it's all directed inwards. No one else knows about that journey. They can see you getting better as a musician, as an audience perspective, but the difference of being a facilitator is a facilitator is somebody who makes things easy for others. It's not for you. So when you mix this I, me, ego with this, it doesn't always work out well for a lot of people because they're more geared towards the I, me part, other than just going out there and doing it as an altruistic format or helping others or whatever. But it really, I think, it just depends on the individual and where they are mentally, physically, financially, whatever, at that point in their life. So I was at a critical point where I was doing my business, I was being a musician, I was playing, talking the talk, walking the walk, and, suffering for it and whatever. But I also knew that I'd like to maintain a certain lifestyle and see the world for what it is and not be stuck because of financial circumstances. So I made those decisions, and it took me to a point where I had a lot of fun playing with a lot of amazing people. But at some point, I felt I plateaued. And interestingly enough, that's the time when drum circles came into my life. And for me, that was a complete switch and a turnaround on a mental level, on a personal level, at a very deep point. There's an immense amount of satisfaction of knowing you can do something that's going to affect others, in a very, very positive way, whether they realize it or not. So it's incredible the kind of situations that have come up, the circumstances, the interactions with others. And these are complete strangers. They're not musicians. But you empower them and they go out there and they feel good about themselves for whatever reason. Whether the fact that they played well or that they're just feeling something that they don't even know how to express. And it's incredible the kind of feedback that you get. And that's sometimes even more valuable, or it has a lot more weight than just going out being applauded for just playing. It's a lot deeper than that. India's had a drumming culture from whenever, whenever we started as a civilization. But the format of drum circles, the modern format of the drum circle, was something that was brought into the US in the 50s, from Africa. That's why we primarily use djembes and African instruments. And went to the US, got picked up by our teacher, our mentor, and he really opened my eyes to how deep this thing is. And it was a life transforming period in my life. As a corporate entity, I think we've done more than 500,000 people. In terms of numbers, I really don't know the numbers exactly because it's been a blur, but I'm sure it's been more than 500 to 600, 700. It slowly built up. The first year we did X number of events, and then second year this many more sessions, and it just kept on growing. At one point, it was taking up 80% of my waking hours. Either be it traveling, coordinating logistics, running the business, dealing with the taxes, running around, buying stuff, designing stuff, books, learning things, creating boxes, warehousing, dealing with the state things, It all completes itself when you're taking it in a particular direction. And it's been an incredible journey because you activate different parts of your brain at different points, and it's fun.